I'd like to introduce Mrs. Sara Giusti, who's going to talk about the challenges for the gold industry in the macroeconomic scenario. Sara Giusti got her degree in economics at the Catania University in Varese. She's an economist at the Industry Research Office of Intesa Sanpaolo. She deals with research concerning industrial economy, in particular in the industries connected to fashion and in the geographical regions of Tuscany and Umbria. Mrs. Giusti is going to shed some light on the trend in the gold industry in Italy, with a specific focus on international markets. We're going to see the results of the research carried out, thanks also to the business community of the gold industry in Italy. Good morning. Thank you very much for having me. Now, before looking at the situation, I'd like to present some structural data to see the role that this industry plays within the larger fashion industry, including textile, clothing, leather, and eyewear. The Italian gold industry includes over 7,000 businesses with over 28,000 headcount, with exports over 10,000 million euro. So there has been a shift from 6% to twice as much as concerns the role that the gold industry plays in the wider picture of the Italian fashion system. The gold industry is led by Italy. Italy is the first exporting country. The latest data did back to 2022, and Italy proved to be the first exporter in Europe. On the right-hand side, you see that the growth rate is quite significant over the last 9 months. Now, as for 2022, you see that Italy ranks 5th in this list, with a market share equal to 10%, which has grown over the past 3 years. US, India, Switzerland, and China doing better than Italy. I think we should focus on Switzerland. Switzerland is a hub for our exporters. So perhaps the figure for Switzerland is heavily impacted by exports coming from Italy. So our 10% perhaps is underestimated. This competition translates into an important capability in generating value. Here you see the trade surplus. The fashion system in 2022 had a trade surplus of some 34 billion euro, 20% of this surplus being generated by the gold industry, with over 7 billion euro of trade surplus. In the first 9 months, the surplus is equal to 5.4 billion, and this shows us something that is happening in this industry, which is a slight slowdown, as you see represented in this chart. This chart tells us about another phenomenon as well, which is the important rebounds effect that the industry has recorded after COVID. This rebound effect has led to a recovery in this industry earlier than in other industries. So we've seen incredible years in 21 and 2022, and the slowdown is perhaps a physiological, connected to the geopolitical scenario that we just heard mentioned. So this flattening of the slope can actually be considered as a normal event after the brilliant years. Anyway, the industry is doing better than the general fashion and manufacturing systems or industries. We see that on the right-hand side with the development of production with minus 1.4, which is much better than what has been recorded in the manufacturing system at large and in the fashion industry. As for international markets, we already heard about global trend being always in the positive, and these are data hard drawn from World Gold Council, and they referred to gold jewels. We see that in the first months of 2023, the world demand has remained unchanged, quantity-wise, with a 0.3% increase. Based on that, the general results of the Italian gold industry are even more noticeable because Italy has achieved a growth by 1% quantity-wise and 12% value-wise, despite demand remaining unchanged. Unchanged demand yields different results across the countries. We see an important pickup on demand in China and Taiwan and Turkey. China has been growing later on after COVID if compared to what has happened in the euro area because restrictions have been implemented for a longer time, whereas in Turkey, the gold demand has been considered again as a shelter against high inflation. Another important market for our industry is the US market, and here there's a bit of slowing down of the growth after an important result that has been experienced in the previous 2 years. The business community in Italy has been very smart in detecting these trends. You see that they understood that there was a greater demand in Turkey and in China, and this has led also to an increase in the export towards Switzerland, which is again a logistics hub. Consider that there were flows connected to the metals in the past. Ireland is a specific case. Italy has been able to target their products to the growing markets. Thanks to the district marking the Italian gold industry. The district organization is such that there are a high number of companies gathered together in a small territorial and small geographic areas, drawing benefits from advantages that could not be taken advantage of elsewhere. There's a strong relationship, know-how and sharing of the know-how, which is very important. Banca Intesa has identified the 3 important districts, Valenza, Vicenza and Arezzo. These 3 districts basically export 70% of the general export for the country. In these 3 areas, Valencia, Arezzo and Vicenza, there have shown important growth, especially so in the first 9 months of 2023. On the right-hand side, you may see the specific features of this district. So we were talking about the specific role played by Ireland as a logistics hub. And you see that there is a close connection with the Valenza district between Valenza and Ireland. Indeed, Valenza is connected to one important operator that has made the major investments and that is getting stronger and stronger, thus defining again Ireland as a logistics hub. Now, with reference to Turkey, we see that there are a lot of exports from Arezzo to Turkey. Now, apart from the short-term data, we've tried and performed another exercise to have a longer perspective. So we looked at the balance sheet. We looked at some 500 balance sheets between 2008 and 2022 to see to what extent these districts changed after important crises that hit the industry and the economy at large. We're looking at 400 businesses in the districts compared to other 100 in businesses not in the districts. And the ones located in the districts grew importantly much more than the other ones, strengthening their equity. And this is something that we often see across the manufacturing industry. There is again a growing net equity after a selection of companies, a reduction again of the players, and this could be actually a strength to support competitiveness with important investments in the industry. There's another element which is often identified as a focus of our businesses, and that is lower productivity compared to the ones of other manufacturers. We've summarized productivity, measuring the added value per each member of staff. And in a way, the situation seems to be completely unexpected, because in 2008 we had a higher productivity in the non-district areas, but this has been balanced over the years, as you may see. And this is the result of the investments that have been made and of the focus on the high-range production that has been detected in the industry. As was said earlier on, we tried and understand also the sentiment of the business community in the industry. There's a survey that we carry out together with the Club degli Orafi, where we ask the business community members what their expectations are in terms of turnover and investments, where the latest survey has just been concluded in December 2023. And this basically confirms what was said. 2023 has been experienced as a good year. As a matter of fact, there is a growing number of businesses that expect a growing turnover. The expectations for 2024, especially when it comes to super small companies, are marked by the general economic situation. And perhaps even more importantly, you see that entrepreneurs perceive they want to invest to be competitive. So despite the economy slowdown, between January and December, there has been an increase in the number of entrepreneurs wishing to increase their investments. No company at all has expressed the desire to reduce investments. So investments are still high, and we're going to have as high investments in 2024 as well. On the whole, we expect that over a third of the companies is going to see greater investments compared to investments made in 2023. Where are the investments focused? Well, there are changes based on the size and the location of the businesses. Very small companies include also distribution companies, so much so that they're wishing to invest in communication, image, and reorganize the internal demand. Whereas medium to large-size companies that are manufacturers are guided into wanted to invest more in technology, buying up of new equipment, and improving their competitiveness. Now, to close, I'd like to go back to the main difficulties to be tackled, the main challenges to be faced by the companies in the industry. In the survey we carried out in December, identified their worst concern as the worsening of the demand. This is very much consistent with the trend that have been recorded. The list of difficulties changed. In June, the first difficulty was identified as finding workers. But now things have changed, and greatest attention has been devoted again to the worsening of the demand. And yet, 1/3 of the interviewees are still identifying the lack of manpower as their greatest difficulty. Gold industry in Italy is pretty unique, and because, again, here the worst competitors are perceived as being Italian by our Italian interviewees, and this has always been so, by the way. Why is that? Because the Italian gold industry is marked by a very high quality in the manufacturing, the craftsmanship in the manufacturing, and the professional skills of manpower. So these are the main features that that characterize all Italian competitors. The greatest challenge now is to carry out or implement ever greater degrees of innovation and technology, safeguarding the craftsmanship that is still the main feature of our